Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review number 314. I got it right this week. I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift is here. Gino is back again. Big G looks like he's happy to be here, but we never know these days. And then Walter Cruz is back. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Big G?
Not much. Not really much to discuss about wrestling-wise, news-wise that happened big, but we got some good topics that you picked out. I'm in the holiday spirit. As you can see, the shitter's full. And if you know, you know. And I'm always happy to be here. Happy to be with the elite group of NoDQ. And like I always say, let's get this ball rolling, baby.
Now, you say nothing big to talk about yet. I see dirt sheets. Oh, Dwayne Johnson's going to be busy for WrestleMania, and unless plans change, we're going to be talking about things that have happened with The Rock, things that could happen, and why maybe dirt sheet marks get led false news to throw people off the chain because they know they will spread it like wildfire, and it can make moments like showing up at the beginning of Raw on Netflix or number 30 in the Royal Rumble even more impactful because people didn't think it was going to happen. But stay tuned for our main event. Walter, what's going on?
Nothing much. Doing well. Thanks for having me. Yep, I'm ready for the Christmas pressures when you got kids trying to gather all these gifts and the parents' fights at the stores. Thank goodness for Amazon and online shopping now, because I don't know how our parents deal with this crap, like being in person. I don't go in person no more. It's all online, but then you got to deal with the porch thieves, so the package thieves. Yeah, so oh well. But yeah, I'm ready to talk about wrestling.
Let's live in a gated community. I mean, then you still have to worry about your neighbors, but you know, everybody's got everybody's got cameras and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Gino, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on? Honored to be here as always. Looking forward to the topics. No matter how slow or busy it seems like the news cycle is, we can always count on Virtue to hook us up with some good things to talk about.
And, you know, you're wearing your AEW shirt because you knew we had a monster AEW talk that's probably going to take up 50 to 60% of this show. And we're going to be starting that one first. But before then, Aaron, what's going on? And I'm just wondering if Psycho Jet Black's going to be here tonight, because like I want to play some video games, but I don't want to be here till 8:30 or 9 o'clock either. So I'm kind of hoping he's not here tonight, but we'll see.
He might always have a fill-in.
You hope he's here, but
yeah, I mean, other people might chime in. We'll see how tonight's discussion goes. Big G's usually happy to be here. I guess it depends on how his local sports team is doing, if he's in a good mood or not. But it's always a fun time on the NoDQ Review. We're wrapping up 2024. Next week, we got somebody from the North Pole, I believe, coming on. Should be a fun one next week, but that's next week. Tonight, we got two big topics, and then whatever people chime in with super chats. Virtue, let's get it going. I'm ready for this. Let's do it.
All right, and by the way, it's Pico Jet Black. Remember? Pico Jet Black.
Oh, wait. PJB.
PJB, yeah. But we'll see. All right, so the first topic that I want to talk about here is, so they're doing press conferences for All in Texas, and, you know, you would think at this stage of the game that you could hire stand-ins or figure out a way to have hundreds and hundreds of people to make it look like you're super popular. And, but none of that's, you know, whatever that, you know, it's a press conference. It's way, way before the event, but WWE typically knows when to time those properly to make them look more engaging. And if there's not a lot of fans there, they make it look more like a press event. Just follow their lead. It's okay sometimes, AEW, to do things like WWE to make your big events seem bigger. But what I want to talk about is AEW did great at Wembley in, I believe it was 2023. Like, that was the record, right? Then they did less, but they still did really well Wembley the next year, which would have been earlier this year. They got their Warner Brothers Discovery TV deal, and they're going to stream pay-per-views on Max. Now, I'm not a big fan of that we all pay a Max subscription, and then we're going to get a discounted price that still ain't good enough. That ain't good enough because WWE, we can get them for $10, $5 to $10, or whatever your Peacock package is. But again, I'm just going over these things that seem really good for AEW. What else do we have? Oh, wait, it gets bad because US TV attendance, it's not looking good, especially for Rampage and Collision. Just not good. Like, when something's not good, don't fake it. Like, Tony Khan needs to be figuring out ways to address these issues, and Meltzer needs to stop saying that, well, these are good. The advertisers are okay with these breathalyzer numbers for demo ratings. That's not good. That's a trend in the wrong direction. What about the attendance? Start going to the smaller arenas if you're only going to get a couple thousand, 3,000, 4,000 people. Don't do these big arenas. What else do we get? Oh, wrestlers. You have, and it's not just a few now. It's not just the whole CM Punk incident. We're seeing multiple wrestlers leave the company. Now, I think Cody was the one that really didn't say much, right? Like, he didn't, if he wasn't happy or there was just something not clicking with him there, he was kind of the most professional about it. But I'm just seeing these wrestlers that aren't being utilized. That's a huge issue if you're paying them, or they're hurt and then there's like grievances coming out. Now, this is wrestling. We've seen this on both sides of the coin, but remember, AEW was supposed to be this perfect place to work for as a wrestler. Benefits for the employees, which the Young Bucks and the EVPs, who you can actually say are employees because you probably pay them as an employee for that job, but wrestlers are still independent contractors. What I'm getting at here, AEW is not perfect, and there's a lot of flaws showing. Who is more? You have your lovers and your pitchfork and torch AEW supporters that they do no wrong. That's the one end of the spectrum. Then you have the critics. And I wouldn't say that the constructive critics are not all the way at the other end of the spectrum. They're more towards the middle because they want AEW to get better. They're not trying to hope that they fail and go out of business. That's the other side. It's like we're almost talking politics here, right?
Yep.
But this is literally ongoing. It's made X.com, Twitter, a toxic wrestling community. And in other platforms, I'm sure, as well. So who's right? Like, where are we at with AEW? Because that's a lot. They've done some really good positive things, but have they capitalized on those? They got the TV deal, and it's like some reporters say, well, that's good enough, but like it's just a fraction of WWE's TV deal. I mean, it's just a fraction, and they're not a publicly traded company, so we don't see the financials. We don't see the books. What's the wrestlers' incomes? Tony Khan pays for, like, from what we hear, a lot of their travel and hotel and lodging and the catering. That all adds up. TV production, live shows are expensive. What is the bottom line for AEW, and how can they get away with it if it's not in the black, which means in the positive? Tony Khan can fund it because he's rich. I mean, he is filthy rich. His dad owns automobile industry factories, 2 sports teams. Tony Khan owns a analytics team company. This is insane how rich these people are, and you can do vanity projects, but it ain't going to get better if you treat it as such. Big G, I'm going to start with you. A lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Who's right here? Like the lovers, the legitimate critics, or the haters? Like, I wouldn't say, I don't know, man, but there's a lot of toxicity on the internet because the defense of AEW, when I think there are fans out there who legitimately want it to get better.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I used to be, I don't want to say a diehard of AEW, but one of their bigger fans. And like I said last week when we talked a little bit about AEW, it's been very hard for me to watch every single week, try to keep up with it. And, I've mentioned this too before, when AEW first started coming to Baltimore and even in Pittsburgh, the crowds were not sold out, but the stadium, the arena was pretty much full. And then within the last 2 years, when I went to the last show, I think I mentioned this too. We were on the hard side of the camera, And before the show even started, they had asked us if we could move over to the other side, so that way the camera side would look full, because the camera side wasn't all that full. So like, okay, they're gonna do this, but we've mentioned this plenty of times too, and I think I mentioned this as well. If the pay-per-view shows, okay, you can go to a semi-big arena. That way it looks kind of full. But then when you do your TV shows, like they did in Collision, following up to All In, they were in Texas in that one place, that could sit like 3,000 to 4,000 people, and it looked semi kind of full. You need to go to smaller venues for your shows, for your TV shows.
Yep.
And it's like Tony Khan doesn't want to learn from his mistakes. He signs all these big people like Bobby Lashley and MVP just now and Shelton Benjamin, and you bring all these international stars in like Ospreay and Okada. What in the freak has Okada done? He was this big star in New Japan, and now he's come to AEW and he's the Young Bucks lackey pretty much, and says, I'm gonna say it, all he says is bitch on TV. Like, it's just so frustrating. We want to see AEW improve, and then like you mentioned, they have the Max deal coming up. They're going to be streaming AEW on Max Dynamite, and they have their pay-per-views on Max for a discounted price. So what, you'd be paying like $25 per pay-per-view now?
Which, to be fair too, with that might cut into their normal buy rate of their pay-per-views, because all the fans that used to watch that way that have Max already are going to go there to get it cheaper.
Exactly. And like I said, I feel like Tony doesn't want to learn from his mistakes. He's just rinse and repeating, doing everything wrong. And then all these people, all these non-diehard AEW fans are going on X, and crapping on AEW and making it a toxic place to like I said last week, the only thing I do on X now is I either retweet what Aaron posts from NoDQ from WWE and NFL and Pittsburgh Steelers. That's it. I don't tweet anything myself because I don't want to say something and then be ridiculed for it the next day. So I'm just like, should I get rid of X? Because there's still Facebook and, there's still other social media platforms out there. So, like, I don't know. It's just frustrating, Virtue. We all want to see AEW be successful, but in order for them to do that, Tony Khan needs to learn from his mistakes.
And look, when they have momentum, because they've had it, right?
They've had it, yeah.
The first All In.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, there's just something that goes wrong, or somebody gets hurt, or they don't change your business. They could do all that business over in the UK, but then they struggle in the US, and then instead of seeing that for a month or two and then changing, hey, let's move into smaller venues. It's insane, and you can't make yourself seem like you're this great alternative, and yet still, like, again, you have so many wrestlers on your roster. You're probably going to get injuries with the style of wrestling that AEW is.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have so many you hire. You're going to have ones you don't use. And then the disgruntled stuff's going to happen because wrestlers want to be on TV. They want to work. Sure, it's nice to get paid and sit at home and not do nothing, but wrestlers love the spotlight. And it just creates so many problems because he doesn't have the people in place there to tell him with the experience of when things do happen that go awry to change things up. It's just the people that enable him that want their way, EVPs. And then what happens is where we're at with AEW. Remember how the momentum of CM Punk when he first came there? Remember that?
Yeah, I was there.
The first Wembley show. Oh my God, AEW did that. Like, what?
Yeah.
There's been MJF, the pipe bomb, being champion and calling Tony Khan and Mark. So many different ways of momentum. The build of Wardlow and then, building new stars. Yeah. It's insane the opportunities they've had to make things. And then it all comes crashing down for various reasons. And that's because there's not the right people in place around Tony to say, hey, we got to learn from these things. We're going to do things wrong sometimes, but we get better from them when we acknowledge we did them wrong, instead of keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that you're going to be able to exist long-term with wrestling matches. Yeah, you got your TV deal. Okay. But the way I feel about this TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery is they're give it a shot. But if things don't improve, do you think they were going to really want to sign or have it grow? Every WWE TV deal has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Unless AEW improves, they're going to be status quo, if not be offered less going forward, to maybe not getting one at all or having trouble getting one.
Yeah.
That's because you need to improve. Anyway, Gino, I'm going to come over. Yes, Big G.
One more thing.
Well, don't act like you're done then.
I know. I'm sorry. You brought something up. I forgot to mention the whole Rey Fenix thing. I have a question. I don't know if you guys would know, but do professional wrestlers, even professional athletes, do they get in trouble for like posting something like Rey Fenix did on X with the company or something like that? You know how Rey Fenix.
If there's no non-disclosure, I mean, no.
Okay.
I mean, it's not.
Here's
smart.
the thing: wrestlers are babies too, to a point. So again, he's not being utilized for whatever reason. The whole wants to leave the company, probably to go to WWE, and then Tony's getting tacky now by putting the year of injury, making up for injury time and putting it in, making him sit home. Like if he was such a good employee, like, hey, it didn't work out here. Your run here is done. We'd like to maybe see you in the future, but for now, if you'd like it, I'll release you from your contract. You can go do whatever. That's how it should be, especially with what we thought AEW was going to be when it was created.
Right.
And it's not. It's not that way. It's jealous. There's jealousy in there.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Big G, you done now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yes, Walter.
The only thing you really have to fear when you're under contract is that they punish you, but like he's not being utilized anyway. So what the hell's the difference?
The Ricky Stark stuff. I mean, we have enough evidence now that there are issues. Like it's not just one wrestler or two wrestlers or three. There are issues, and what are they? Who knows exactly what the root of the problem is? But there needs to be an efficiency expert there to lay out reports so Tony and his dad and his consultants can figure out what they need to do next. Not wrestlers. Actual business people. All right, Gino.
All right, thank you. So first of all, great points that you guys made. I definitely want to touch on those before getting into the crux of what I was going to say. So Virtue, you mentioned Cody didn't complain when he was one of the only ones who didn't. I kind of feel like that might have something to do with him having more of a influence in starting it versus all these other guys who just kind of came along for the ride versus helped starting it.
Yeah.
Not us, but out there, we get the feeling that like AEW, because they've hit certain numbers and stuff, that we're holding them to the standard of a company who's been in business for decades, right? Versus they haven't even been in business for a decade, and it does make it tough to get these types of high money TV deals and stuff. Obviously, the product, as far as what they're putting out, is reflective of the money that they're being given. The internet wrestling community, I mean, yes, it's definitely toxic right now. It's kind of also been toxic for a long time, even before AEW. I just remember that 2015 era where, there was just hatred on hatred and nothing was going right. Everybody was blaming everything on whoever they could find as a scapegoat.
Roman sucks, remember?
Right. I mean, some of the biggest numbers I ever did on my channel was making a Roman Reigns thumbnail like, you mad, bro? Right. And it's crazy how much hate will get clicks. I don't really like to be that guy, but it does. When somebody gets hurt in AEW, it feels like they're left floundering. Whereas if somebody gets hurt in WWE, dude, they still put on a banger of a WrestleMania, even though all their plans had to get switched around because CM Punk got hurt. It's crazy or not crazy. It's just the difference between being able to handle adversity versus not being able to do so. You guys mentioned the Rey Fenix stuff, right? Now, it's not uncommon for WWE to hold on to somebody longer because they were injured for part of their contract. I feel like AEW was afraid that if they did let Fenix go at that time, WWE would make him a main eventer by the end of the year, right? They have a track record of doing that. Even in NXT, you got Ethan Page, you've got Cody Rhodes, you got CM Punk. All these guys are now elevated to the tops of their brand, and when they could have been that for AEW. One of the big things that I came into today wanted to talk about that you guys touched on was like Okada and people coming from the indies. You know, Tony Khan and AEW feel like, oh, we're just, they're bringing their positives with them. Whereas oftentimes WWE, when they would take people from the indies, they would change their name, switch things up, give them a positive direction to go in with none of any potential negative baggage of having been an independent wrestler. Not that that means you have baggage, but you look at Seth Rollins, you look at all these guys who had name changes that now they've got bigger careers. You don't have to worry about what happened or didn't happen on the indies. You've got things that it's definitely not what we're used to seeing from a company that knows what they're doing. Now to double it back, you mentioned the shirt that I wear. I wear this not as being the world's biggest AEW fan, because admittedly, guys, I'm not. I don't watch the product as much as I should. I do try to watch what I'm interested in the YouTube videos. We talked about that a few weeks back. It's difficult. Now to the crux of your question, who's right? Is it the AEW defenders or is it the constructive critics? And it may seem like a cheap kind of cop-out answer, but in a way they're both right. Right now, as viewers and not owners of the product, we all have ideas of what we want to see. So the defenders are getting what they want. Long matches, multiple near falls, kicking out of things people shouldn't be kicking out, high spots, tirelessly long pay-per-views, which I do understand that, because you do want to get your money's worth if you are paying the price for that. So I kind of do get that. So in a way, those fans are getting what they want. Why would they want it to change, right? They're not losing money as fans watching the product. They're still getting their dream matches and all that stuff. The problem then is it becomes niche programming. There's a place for that. But, I mean, look at TNA. They're happy being small. What does AEW even want, right? We were kind of promised a WWE alternative equivalent.
Yeah.
And what we're getting is just an alternative that's not equal.
Right.
Again, it's hard to be equal with a company that's been doing it at the highest level for 40 years plus.
Right.
But they have no superstars. At the end of the day, every time we bring up AEW, it's what could they have done with CM Punk? CM Punk letting him go was essentially the biggest mistake they made. As a viewer of the product, when I did view it, I was interested in what they were going to do with Wardlow. Completely dropped the ball on that. I was interested in Ricky Starks, and I just listened to him on CVV too as well. Like you said, I mean, yeah, it's okay to be sent home and get paid to do that, but you want to be at least performing. It doesn't maybe have to be on camera. Of course, Virtue, like you said, they do want that, but at least like he's showing up to the shows and they're not using it, right? That's not like sitting at home. That's like I don't find out I'm not being used till I'm there. Like how unfreaking professional is that? Sorry, it's just when the guys I like aren't being used properly or at all, it's disturbing. And don't even get me started on the MJF.
I was just about to say him. Like he has no interest of trying to get back the AEW World Title. It's going to take this long. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? You get your top few guys, and they're always in the title picture. You might give them a program to kill sometime during certain area, but like the Daniel Bryan stuff's over with now. Time to put MJF back in the main event. Like you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the thing, right? Like he's got this huge leg tattoo that's like I'm all in on AEW, but I don't give a crap about the main title that that literally I made famous and I should be going back for. Like it's disturbing. And we go back to what does AEW want, right? Like we as the constructive criticizers, we want them to be bigger. We want them to be able to challenge and more rival than challenge WWE. Like, do they just want to be kept alive, or do they want to thrive?
They want their fan base to be happy, and that's the problem. where
can't survive
you
on
got to
5-star
grow.
matches.
I mean, unless you want to be an indie company. See, that's the thing. They got that TV deal, so it gives so much leash to the defenders. And Tony Khan being able to get millions of dollars in, and he's already rich. It's like, oh, good, my vanity project's funded at least, where I won't be bleeding out of my pocket as much. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Like, look at WWE's deals. Look at their deals with Saudi Arabia alone. I know that's a whole different can of worms, but they still bring in that money. It's insane.
No, I'm
Big
wondering if
difference in those
WBD starts to try and input something into, like, try to influence what type of product they're getting. Because like Triple H said, like you said last week, Virtue, you know, these shows are made for them. Like, usually if WBD would have to be producing this show, no, wrestling is produced for the people airing it. So that's like a unique thing where you don't get that in a lot of weekly TV shows. And speaking of that, I think they should be cutting down the amount of shows they have. I mean, we're talking going down to just Wednesday night Dynamite would be better for them. You know, how many hours of television are they trying to write for when they can barely fill a 2-hour show with productive writing? It's just difficult.
I heard they're doing another show and dropping Rampage, something like that.
And you know, Tony Khan spent 7 figures on Ring of Honor. What is he making off of that? He got the tape library, great. So maybe they can implement that on Max. I don't know, but like, what did he make off of that? He just kind of threw it in to AEW, basically. It's just insane what goes through his head or what doesn't go through his head. Anything else, Gino?
Yeah. So, Big G, you mentioned that they moved you to the other side where you could be on camera. I've been at a few WWE shows where the guy next to me was like, yeah, I was in the top shelf and they told me to come down. And this is back in that 2015 like era where everything was not going necessarily swimmingly. So it's not, you know, it's bad that they have to do that for sure. WWE certainly doesn't have to do that anymore, but it was happening. And at the end of the day, the way it's going to thrive as a company is to appeal to more of the mainstream while keeping their hardcore fans happy. One of the big problems WWE had when it started to slip was they were only trying to bring in new eyes. They weren't trying to keep the people that were there happy because they knew they're going to be here anyway, right? That was one of my biggest problems when they went to PG. It's like they don't even care about me anymore. They just want to get a new audience. And I'm like, why am I being punished? So the issue is the mainstream people don't really care about quality of matches. They care about the storyline to bring them in. I mean, it just is what it is. So, it's kind of what I have to say about
Thank you, Gino. Now, I need to bring this up because I was doing some research. So we know Tony Khan obviously runs AEW, and he spends most of his work week focusing on that. Yeah. He dabbles on the Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit, mostly around draft time. He looks for free agents. You know, he still has people in place, but he meddles in there a little bit and tries to find the scraps of the NFL. And then I don't know what he does in Fulham, but I know he's involved with those two sports teams. I know Aaron Sports. They're traditional losers. I know a couple years ago, Jacksonville made the playoffs. They got in. They're out. Last year, they looked like they were going to have another run, and they've been horrible since.
Yeah.
Fulham's the middle of the pack, lower of the pack football/soccer team over in great. Not winning teams. We see AEW. We talked about what they should have capitalized on, but where they are with U.S. attendance, live attendance, TV ratings, and Tony's hands are all in these cookie jars. But he owns he bought a company 10 years ago or so. They do sports analysis. They're called True Media. He bought them, and you might go online and people like Dave Meltzer will say that, because he's a chairman, he's the main investor, he owns it. But if you go to their webpage, everybody that runs the company, they're like these, and like he's not listed on it. It's all these other people that were probably there before he bought them that know about this baseball analytics that sports teams use to try to maximize everything to win championships. Tony's he might show up at a board meeting, but like literally he's hands off. I went and even watched videos from this company. They don't mention Tony Khan at all. They just do their thing with actual experts. Tony, it's thriving. Like sports is really into the sabermetrics analytical thing. and in these companies that help them out analyzing player salary stats and everything, they can say, hey, the last 9 out of 10 World Series winners, or not winners, but people in the World Series were people that used our method. So what I'm saying is he's hands off there, and it seems successful. Is that not a clue? You got the money, you back. You can come in and like spew your opinion every now and again, but let people that know the industry do it like you're doing with True Media. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out as an example. Walter, what do you have to say here? Like that's probably his most successful company right now. And like the Texas Rangers 2 years ago, the Dodgers this year used that software and they won championships.
Mm-hmm.
But is it Tony Khan, or just did he buy a good company because he's rich and you can watch it grow? What I'm saying is hands off, and you can be successful. Get people in around you to deal with the stuff that know what they're doing. Walter,
that's what you got to do.
Oh God, look who's here.
That's what you got to do. But I feel like one of the biggest problems is that he has to see it for himself. He has to admit it. The AEW is like that person in that toxic relationship where all their friends are telling them how bad the relationship is and how bad the person is, but until that person sees it for themselves, nothing will ever change. And the other problem is it's not a publicly traded company. There's no shareholders, there's no stock,
so
there's no corporate pressure. There's no corporate pressure to be better.
Right.
There's no, you know
and
what I
we
mean?
can't see the books, so we don't know.
Yeah.
What would the public do? The stockholders do if they saw the books showing in the red, not the black.
Exactly. When people start selling all their shares, then you got that corporate pressure to change something. Without that, it's like he's got this little toy he can play with. But I mean, it's getting bad. Like I've seen more people show up at a Christmas party in corporations where they're just raffling off a $50 Starbucks card than that AEW press conference that they did. It's getting bad.
Over $1 million gate so far, third largest in AEW history.
Yeah, whatever. That's because they barely get anything there overseas. So he's going to sell at the stadium. Anybody's going to sell some tickets in the stadium, but you're going to have to take the TNA route. We all keep saying it. Go smaller venues. And it's not like you can blame ticket prices or anything. The tickets are cheap. Like I saw $200 tickets for when they came here to Connecticut twice, and the Boston show when I went to see when Mercedes debuted. It was like $200 from like 30 feet from the ring. Like you can't really beat that. Like some people want to go just because the ticket prices are low, but why can't they sell it out? And you got to do camera tricks too to like not show how empty your arena is. Like I made that graphic and made that joke that all empty arena or arena empty wrestling is like it's really getting bad. But until Tony sees it for himself and admits it, that we're not going to get a better product. Like the internet wrestling fan, he don't really care about it. He does his little replies to Twitter, but it's not a publicly traded company. There's no pressure from nobody.
Right.
So, like, what can we do? We can all complain till we're blue in the face. Nothing's going to change until he sees it for himself.
Yeah.
All right, Walter. If you have anything else, chime in. But I'll go to Aaron now, and I see the super chats rolling in. So I don't know when we're going to get to the Rock topic.
No, but you guys had a lot to say about AEW. We've talked about some of this stuff before. We have covered this. There's a lot of issues with AEW that need to be addressed if they want to be able to reclaim their past glory. And I think back when they started, there was this positive vibe about AEW. AEW, their mission statement felt like they were going to be different from WWE, not force people to work there that didn't want to work there. They would take a different approach to how they ran the business, but they're doing the same things now that WWE was doing, keeping people under contract that don't want to be there. You look at the Rey Fenix situation, and that's just furthering the negative publicity towards AEW. Like there's a lot of things they can fix creatively. They can work on stuff, and as far as their reputation, there's things they can work on. You look at the situation with Rey Fenix, and it's a bad look for AEW. It started with CM Punk, everything that happened with him. That hurt AEW's reputation, and now what's going on with Phoenix and Ricky Starks, they're keeping him on ice. WWE kept guys under contract and added injury time, which they can do that. AEW can do that. But the whole thing with AEW from the get-go was that they were not going to be like WWE. They were not going to be the so-called bad guys and be this evil corporation that holds people to a contract when they don't want to be there. And now they're no better than WWE. And yeah, WWE deserved the criticism. AEW deserves the criticism for what they've been doing with the wrestlers. Gino?
Yeah, it's funny because, everybody attributed WWE for being like the bad guy, not to, but really what it came down to was it was one guy's decision making throughout the entire thing. And now that's what we're seeing in AEW, whereas now WWE has shifted to being a more friendly, more wrestler forward company where they're actually somewhere where people want to work now. And it kind of throws AEW's whole premise out the window when it's almost like they switched.
Yeah.
Now you got one guy being the dictator, just doing what he wants, versus the company that's doing what's in the best interest of the company. So,
yeah, and we've beat this like a dead horse. I mean, Tony Khan needs some help. We've said this many times, both creatively and as far as management goes. I don't think wrestling fans respect him as a boss. Maybe some people respect him as a matchmaker, a guy who can put together good pay-per-views, but not much beyond that. And maybe they need somebody new in management that people will have a better opinion of and think highly of and respect. And maybe that can help AEW. I think they can turn it around, but changes have to be made, and ultimately Tony Khan will have to be the one to make the changes because he is the guy who is running the show. He's going to need to make some changes, bring in some different people, and maybe one day they'll be able to turn things around and rebuild the brand because it's very damaged right now. And once people get out of the habit of watching, it's hard to win them back. It's really difficult to get people invested again after they were watching it. But once they lose interest, they move on to other things, and it's hard to get those people back. So we'll see what happens with AEW in 2025. Hopefully Walter's mic works better as we move into the new year, moving it around or whatever. We do have a couple of super chats here. So PJB has in fact arrived tonight. Says, I'm sorry, but Darby Allin is not the future of AEW. Will Hobbs should have Darby's spot in the Death Rider storyline. Darby doesn't draw new fans. Yeah, I like Darby Allin, but at the same time, I think there's a ceiling with him, and it's going to be hard to push him at a main event level, especially after they haven't really committed to him when he was pretty hot. There were periods where they might have been able to do something with him, but now, he's been around for 5 years and he's not really evolved at all in 5 years. He's basically the same Darby Allin he was 5 years ago, only he's gotten stale a little bit, and he doesn't have Sting anymore by his side. I think that probably helped too, having Sting right by him when he was out there. Now he's kind of on his own, and
yeah, same with Cassidy. I can't take Cassidy seriously.
Yeah, I mean, Will Hobbs, those are the guys they should be pushing if they want to draw in more people and use the guys that actually look like they could be the world champion, be the toughest guy in the company. You can't have everybody being the underdog. You got to have some guys that are going to be the top guys that are at a different level than those undercard guys. Not that Darby Allin is an undercard guy or anything. I just think they rely too much on these underdog characters overcoming the odds. You can't do that with everybody. It worked for Bryan Danielson, but not everybody can be Bryan Danielson. That's just my take on that. And I can't even say his name. PJB sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Jeff Jarrett in 2000 is more over than Darby Allin. I'm not so sure about that. You know what? I would agree with Big G that I wouldn't go that far. Right, Big G?
Sure, why not?
I like the thing that was out there. I don't remember where it surfaced and who said it, but Tony Khan could book, WCW with all those egos better than Eric Bischoff did. I'm sitting there thinking he couldn't even handle CM Punk
Right.
You imagine like people were saying Nash, Hogan.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? He would have got eaten alive.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
They
He
would have had
would've-
they would have had fatter contracts than they
Oh
did
my
then. They would have
God.
been running everything. The creative control would have been crazy.
Yeah, say what you will about Vince McMahon, but people respected the guy.
They
Like,
feared
he-
it to a
he
point. You got to
wasn't
fear the
deep
boss a little
ruthless.
bit too.
Yeah, like you can only be friends with them for so long. Like at the end of the day, they were your boss, and
Yeah.
yeah, if they don't respect you, they'll just walk right over you. They'll do whatever they want. Inmates will run the asylum. Shout out to Mr. Tito. Oh, so Mr. Tito has a question for PJB. I gotta get used to that. PJB. Darby Allin or Ricochet? There's a question for PJB. Thank you for that,
They got
Tito.
them both.
And shout out to the Game Is On 100 who sent in $2. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, what is TBBT?
The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper.
Sheldon Cooper.
Oh, the show before Dynamite is more over than AEW. Well, yeah, they get that lead in.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
they were
God.
number- and back there in their prime, they were like the number one sitcom in anywhere.
Shit's
Highest
hilarious.
ratings.
One of my favorite shows.
Bazinga.
PJB sent in a $2 super chat. I'll get it. I'll get the hang of it eventually.
And then he'll change
PJB
it back.
sent in a $2 super chat. Says at least the Young Bucks are not on television at the moment. I mean, Virtue, you're happy about that, right?
So they're not on TV. We know they're EVPs, so are they working? But they're getting paid probably 7 figures a piece a year. For what? What are they doing? That's part of the problem. I'm not saying they should be on TV, but like guys like that getting all this money Tony Khan's throwing at them, and what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
I'll take
Running
a
off
break.
CM Punk, who since he's left, those ratings went down 33% at least. At least.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have utilized the Young Bucks better with the Tony Khan storyline. Remember that? That went nowhere. They did that angle where they dropped him on his head, and yeah, they could have.
You know what? That was done just so he could have a neck brace on at the NFL draft.
And the draft,
I
yeah.
loved that.
Because they were
That
filming.
that was great. They could have done a lot with that. They had his dad come out. I mean, like that should have been the driving force of the company for a little bit.
The main thing, all he had to do was force people to work together. You think if that whole shit that Punk happened in WWE, Vince wouldn't have turned that right into a storyline? Like, I don't give a shit whether you like each other.
But
I don't give a shit what you're.
Like we talked about.
Booking this.
Yeah, like we talked about last week. Cody's the main event now. Punk is dabbling in with Reigns now. Okay, that's making Tony look even more foolish. Is that those things progress even more and more in WWE?
All right, Psycho or not Psycho? What is
Pico.
the
PJB?
Pico?
Pico.
Pico.
Unless the S is silent.
Might as well call him Typo.
Well, then it would be
FICO.
Pico.
FICO.
It's an invisible S. He misspelled it. Typo. Jet Black.
PJB. I'm just going to say Jet Black from now on. That's easier. P Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chats. It says, how excited are you guys to see Wardlow, Will Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and the Lucha Brothers in WWE someday? Can't wait to see Triple H book these guys. I mean, I'm happy for them. They'll get a new opportunity. Like, there's no guarantee any of them will do well in WWE, but I think it's safe to say that pretty much all those names will end up in WWE at some point. Really, I think everybody will eventually. I mean, everybody goes to WWE at some point. Even Kenny Omega, even the Young Bucks, I think will be in WWE one day. It's just a matter of when.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm calling it. I think we will see Omega in WWE one day. Ospreay, all of them.
When WWE buys AEW, then that would.
I mean, what notable wrestler from like WCW did not go to WWE at some point? Even Sting went. I'm trying to think of any that never went to WWE. And hell, even the Motor City Machine Guns, after being in TNA for 2 decades and Ring of Honor and indie promotions.
Hey, Aaron,
finally
Disco
went to WWE.
Inferno.
I was thinking that.
Oh, yeah.
I swear. I was going to troll with that Virtue. I swear.
He held several titles, mid-card titles.
He was part of the NWO.
Yeah, he was. He was part of the NWO, part of the Wolfpack for a little bit. Made fun of Conan's music video. He had his
Conan
moments.
never went either, did he?
He was.
No.
Was it he? What was his name?
Oh, he was Aldo Montoya.
Yeah.
No,
Or
that
no.
was
Max Moon.
Max
Moon.
That was just incredible.
Right.
Max Moon is what
In
Conan.
Spirit Inferno went there. They just repackaged it and hired somebody and called him Fandango. That's pretty much this.
All right, let's get through these super chats so we can get to the main event. Come on.
Oh, so it's a typo. Just call me Psycho Jet Black.
Okay, there he goes. Back. See, he answered it.
All right. Well, then we'll stick. To
I don't know.
Psycho
Why didn't he do that last week when we started?
Because it's entertaining for us to try to figure out how to pronounce the name.
He said it was fine last week to just call him Pico.
Can't you go
but
in
I
and
think
edit
he's,
that?
Yeah.
Pico.
Yeah, he
Psycho.
can't edit it.
I'm not sure. I mean, you might be able to, but who knows with YouTube at this point. All right. Well, thank you for that. And we got PJB with another super chat. Says Ricochet with awful hair is more over than Darby Allin. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, Darby's got his following, but he does a lot of crazy things too. And at some point, he's not going to be able to do that stuff. And then what can he bring to the table? Like, say what you will about Mick Foley, but Mick Foley could entertain people with a sock. Could Darby Allin do that?
Hey, if he plants the AEW flag on Mount Everest, that might be all it takes for them to get over the hill.
Yeah.
Hire Samantha Irvin. She'll be more over than all of them.
You like that, Big G?
All right, we got another one here from
Yeah.
Mr. Jet Black.
We're going
Says-
to the corner after.
Darby the Scrub can't
Oh,
even
shit.
fill a men's bathroom. Jeez, man, you're harsh on Darby Allin.
I don't know what type of
Keep
filling the
going,
bathroom
Aaron.
he's talking
Just
about,
keep
but
going,
he's a
Aaron.
small guy, so, you
It's
know.
2024. Let's not get
Yeah,
into
just keep on
bathrooms
going
and
with
men.
them.
Just keep going.
All right, the Shanti says stick to no DQ. Sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Shanti. Says happy 314, y'all. Currently dropping my aloha while watching a movie Y2K. Isn't that the movie that you watched, Gino?
I saw that in the theater. I hope you're not on the phone in the theater unless you're the only person in there. I will say that. I was the only person in my screening of Y2K. But.
Yeah, we do have Stone Cold Week 316 coming up for the No DQ review. Maybe by the end of the year. We'll have to see how the schedule goes for that. So thank you for tuning in, Shanti. Appreciate it. Whether it's live or on demand, thank you for stopping by. And Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Says David Arquette never went to WWE. LOL. He was at the shows, though. He was in attendance for shows. He was at the first SmackDown on Fox. I took a picture with him. So
I'm surprised they never used him as one of those guest hosts for Raw guest general manager, whatever it was. Yeah.
For a long time, he was like the poster child for something that should never have happened. So I feel like WWE was trying to like stay away from that whole circus of it.
yeah, I mean that very well could be the case. And P-Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat, and then we'll get to the main topic here. Darby the Scrub is my new target for 2025. Poor Darby. I mean, Ricochet had it rough for a while, but now Darby is the new target. Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says
Remember, it's Psycho. You can say Psycho.
Psycho Jet Black said David Arquette has more credibility than Darby Allin.
Oh yeah, he's an actor. He's a movie star. He's gonna have more credibility.
Hey, Darby Allin's had a
Earned that
world
with
title.
that hardcore match too that he had that one time where it's pretty intense.
Yeah. To his credit, though, David Arquette's pretty entertaining, and he went out there and showed people he would beat up his body for wrestling. So I don't have any issues with the guy. Anyways, Virtue, let's get to the main event.
So we're going to talk about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And, oh, hey, he's busy Hollywood star. He took so many years. He wasn't in WWE. We got, a couple appearances here and there, a squash match versus Eric Rowan. Yeah, he's all about Hollywood. And that's true. But let's go back on the timeline here when he came back and did some stuff the past year, a little over a year. He actually said, or should he be head of the table. He planted a seed. Okay. He was originally going to face Roman, it seemed like, at WrestleMania last year, and then they changed it. So they made that match technically, storyline or not, real or not, and then they pivoted. Who knows? It was another seed planted on TV. We're not just going to do it now. It's over. What else do we have? He's on the board of directors now for TKO. They gave him $30 million in stocks on the rights to The Rock. Gave all that up for a guy that's just going to be in Hollywood, never come back during big events and finish things that were started. We're supposed to believe that. What else do we got here? Oh, yeah. He handed something to Cody Rhodes, planted another seed, put the title on his shoulder. Yeah. Showed up at Bad Blood, and we're like, somebody like Meltzer's like, hey, if you really know why he showed up at Bad Blood, you guys would be mad. You don't know shit. Nobody knows anything. Only they do. And with somebody like a commodity like The Rock, with all the Hollywood schedule, they can get away with planting a seed that he's busy because everybody's going to buy it because he's the biggest Hollywood star and all these projects and he makes all this money. We're supposed to just believe that he's done. I'm not buying it. Like, if Royal Rumble gets here, we get to Raw Netflix, it's come and gone. Royal Rumble come and gone, and there's no Rock. Then we're going to say, okay, wow, damn, he must have had a really lucrative deal he couldn't pass on, and they're going to delay everything. And technically, yes, that could happen. But smart business guys, usually when they plant as many seeds as The Rock have, not just once, multiple ones. It's not like the one thing with Triple H, and they made it look like they could have a match, and then that never went anywhere. This is multiple seeds that have been planted with Rock and Cody. I'm not even talking about Rock and Roman right now. What Rock and Cody is the thing. That's the story that needs to be told. Cody's story isn't finished yet, but like it's just insane that all of a sudden, hey, plans change. They already planted that seed too, in case Rock does show up and he's part of WrestleMania, then they can cover their ass. But like, seriously, this is insane that people are even saying this. And, we can get into talking about what exactly The Rock should do. We don't even need to talk about that. The fact that his presence with this company, with everything that has happened and his appearances and what he said, everything I just discussed. And one of the big things is being part of the board of TKO and all that money and rights that WWE gave up now. So he gets pretty much all his royalties on The Rock. That's a lot. That's the whole kitchen sink, the whole kit and caboodle they threw at The Rock just to what? Do the program at WrestleMania last year that was a pivot, and then he just kind of fades off and only does an appearance here and there? Bullshit. They're not going to invest all of that just for The Rock to not show up for 3 more years. Like Aaron has said, he's older now. Time is ticking. We got to get these things done. And like I said, if we get to Rumble and it's over and there's no Rock, and even then I'll say, give it time. I'm just not buying any of that BS. To me, this guy, him and Cody have a one-way ticket to the main event of WrestleMania because they planted enough seeds. The one thing Vince McMahon always hated is when he couldn't deliver on stuff that he teased. And it's happened, but especially with the main event. And I just can't see Rock not being part of Las Vegas, especially with what happened last year. Walter, I'm going to start with you. When I see now all of a sudden the wrestling news media putting this out like, we've been told. Who told you? Did Trips call you and tell you? I think WWE knows there's an expectation now with The Rock, with various things, Rock, Roman, Cody, Rock, you name it. If he was in jeopardy of not being at Mania, they would have done something in a pinch to let the fans know ahead of time just so they could start building properly. The fact that they've done nothing and it's just these rumors that get to wrestling dirt sheets, the guy's still on the docket, in my opinion, because WWE would want damage control at this point if Rock definitely wasn't going to do it. This is all put in place. Whatever movies and roles he has, this was a movie and role he took on last year when they pivoted and they did this Cody stuff and then extended what he's going to do maybe longer. Now he tells people in Hollywood, hey, I got this gig going. I think the only thing we got to worry about is what can he actually do in a match, because he really wrestled a tag match, but he took some bumps, but they can be safe. Cody, I don't think they're going to be worried about Rock getting hurt. I know it happened with Cena, but that was 2 years in a row. Was it the second match that Rock got hurt?
Second. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The first time the year before he was fine. He get hurt on a set in Hollywood and it could delay a movie.
He did get hurt.
Especially if you do a lot of your own stunts. They know this. It's not like he's going to be an active wrestler. And that could put him having the title in jeopardy unless it's a very short run, which could bring up a lot of possibilities. But okay, I've said my piece. I've put it all out there. Now we're going to see the NoDQ Galaxy and what each panel member have to say. Walter.
The WWE is treating the dirt sheet writers like a baby. They're feeding them all this crap and they just keep eating it because it's all bull crap. The Rock is going to be involved in WrestleMania.
We know by him right
on the
now.
line for that one.
I got an entire theory what's going to happen. It's going to be all intertwined.
I think if he wasn't going to be involved, they would have already brought something to our attention. Like, hey, because they know the expectations are there.
All right, it's gonna sound crazy when I first say it, but you gotta phone me. I think Roman Reigns is gonna win the Royal Rumble. Punk is then gonna cash in his favor. Paul Heyman, my favor is I want Roman's main event spot now. I want the WWE title main event because I deserve a WrestleMania main event. Paul Heyman is then gonna have to convince Roman the Ulafala is more important than the WWE title. You got to face The Rock at WrestleMania for that Ulafala and prove you're the head of the chief. And then we get the Roman versus Rock for that as night 2, and night 1 is going to be Punk versus whoever the champion is because Roman gave up his spot after winning Rumble because that's CM Punk's favor from Paul Heyman. That's what the favor is going to be. Like, I really feel like all that's going to intertwine, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Cody gave up his spot, and then they had to redo it because of all the beat crap that happened in the Cody Crybaby. They're going to run that same story with a twist this time. Now it's Roman that has to give up his spot because it's Punk's favor because of Paul Heyman getting in his ear, and then we're going to get both matches that we want. The Rock versus Roman Reigns for the Ulafala for the head of the table. We kept saying it doesn't really need the title. That's the title in and of itself, and then we get Punk and whoever the champion is going to be at. I haven't thought that far out to think of who is, but that's what the favor is, and that's where I go. So
well, great that you think that way, and it's fine and dandy. But there's the stuff with Cody, they're not just going to bypass that, in my opinion. So if we see Rock, him and Cody are going to happen, and again, I can put it out as far as WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if none of that happens and WWE has to have different feuds because of it and no Rock, man, that would just be absolutely crazy that they even let it get that far with the fan expectation and the Rock doing a bunch of teases. The handshake, what was in there? What did he give Cody? There's just way too much.
There's a lot.
If it was just a couple Rock appearances and all those little seeds weren't planted, I would be backtracking. I would basically say, I'm having a bad feeling that he's not going to be at this WrestleMania.
If this dude showed up at Bad Blood, how are you going to think he's not going to show up at WrestleMania, the biggest pay-per-view that they run? Like, the dude showed up at Bad Blood, a B+ average pay-per-view at best.
Apparently because he felt like it and no other reason whatsoever.
Exactly.
2 years in a row, he wrestled Cena in the main event and did a program leading into WrestleMania, and he was champion during that time. You telling me he didn't have any big Hollywood roles? Wasn't that the time he started getting into Fast and Furious and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Hollywood, he can coexist both worlds when it's needed. But why did he do it then? Because it was John Cena. Mm-hmm. There's big stakes at the table with Cody and Roman right now. I just can't believe. And again, he's board of directors. That would just leave such a sour taste in all of their mouths. Like, really?
That'll be
to
like
me. That's when I think all these deals were made.
Yeah,
like he signed the script with TKO. Then,
it'll be like leaving
other movie studios. Hey, I got this other movie called WWE. I got to do some things with before we can proceed with this. It's all there. They got it all figured out. Anyway, are you good?
I'm pretty sure The Rock is in control of his own career. People will wait for him
at this point more than ever now.
Yeah, exactly. Hollywood would wait on The Rock. He's going to
maximize
star power.
Everything. If he was hurt and something happened and they had to change plans, that could happen too. So there's definitely always room that he might not be part of Mania. But based on where we're at, it would be insane for WWE to delay anything, and The Rock, and for his brand. I know
Yeah.
some people were like, "Oh, he had to come back and do this with WWE to protect his brand from flopping movies and the Oprah stuff in Hawaii." Well, no, he's been in the he got famous because of the wrestling business. He's always attached to it, so it's none of the above from what you said. Gino, I'll go to you next.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, this is another topic that we could go on all day about, but yeah, it's super important. It's the main event. This has fingers in all different types of pies all throughout entertainment. He is
pie. Did you say pie?
He is the most popular man in all of entertainment, not just sports entertainment. Right now, we've been told he's not going to be there. Stories like, especially in movie news cycles, you'll see one gas station one outlet say something, and then 7 other more reputable people will run with that. But if you really follow it all down, it just comes back to the same person. So we know that this is all kind of coming back to what who said. Nobody's going to be telling these people what's going on, because that just doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint, and WWE's not stupid enough to just like let the cat out of the bag with that stuff. Even if the story's false or true, it still is getting people talking about The Rock, getting people talking about WWE, which kind of goes back to how AEW doesn't have anything like this to get in any news cycles whatsoever other than the bad. And Triple H said it, and it's tough when wrestling. You always got to think something's a work, but Triple H said it, like, only The Rock knows when he's going to show up next. I mean, like, and I kind of truly believe that, right? He showed up in Colorado because he was there. He showed up in Atlanta because he was there, right? And he was going in doing his own little testing by saying head of the table stuff and doing all of these things that he's doing. He's almost planting seeds for himself. I almost kind of feel like he's going into business for himself. Now, maybe I'm getting work, brother, but it kind of does feel like that. And keep in mind, still, when he appears, even if it's his videos get the most attention on social media, right? Which is still positive for WWE. It still helps the board, right? And he doesn't have to do diddly. Now, when it comes down to his movie stuff, right, in Hollywood and all that stuff, he's got $30 million in stocks, got the name to The Rock, right? But as far as I know, he doesn't have to do anything for that, right? This is more like a passive. He already got his money. He already got the naming rights to The Rock. Like, what are they going to do? Take it back from him? It's his now. So technically he could tell him to piss off if he wanted to, right? He made $50 million for being an actor / producer on the Christmas movie Red One, because his $7 production company is now producing all the stuff that he's involved in, whether it's major or whether it's minor. Producers still get extra money. As far as scheduling is concerned, like he's got 7-8 movies coming down the pipe. Now, not everything's in production. Some is in pre, some is in post. But the stuff that is actively in production, they've got stuff that's scheduled. You got hundreds of people that work on a movie, right? It's not just The Rock. And honestly, with the bad news about The Rock coming out, pissing in bottles, showing up hours and hours late to set and stuff like that, I don't think people in Hollywood are willing to wait for him, since his box office draw ability has diminished greatly. Yeah, then you could look at Moana 2, making $600 million in 2 weekends, but that's not The Rock doing that. That's the brand of Moana doing that, right? So he's got things as far as in production right now. He's filming the live action Moana. He's filming the live action Big Trouble in Little China, or whatever. So he's got those things going on. And you'd think, as a board member, giving all those credits, like you mentioned so eloquently, Virtue, like that he would feel obligated to kind of give back, right? More than just appearing and being 150 million views or whatever the Austin Theory was saying for a little bit in time when he shows up. It does feel like it's going to leave a sour taste in their mouth, but at the end of the day, I think you could argue that The Rock might not even care. I'll show up when I want to show up. I'll be inserted into the biggest storylines. Like I am him. Deal with it or don't. You already paid me. Like, you're not paying me a salary year over year. You gave me my money, you gave me my stocks, and you gave me my name back. That I maybe kind of is a stupid decision on their part. The board was obviously hoping that he was going to get more involved, But at the end of the day, when movie contracts and shooting schedules and all this stuff get booked out years in advance, right? Like, I don't know how much pull The Rock has to say, well, I can't do the live action Moana because it's filming during WrestleMania season, right? Like, that feels like he already knows when WrestleMania season is. And if they're scheduling
he's got a
that,
private jet. Keep that in mind. He can go anywhere he wants, anytime.
Maybe he just, and that speaks to the fact that he's only showed up on these WWE events when he was in the neighborhood, right? So he can, but he's not going anywhere he wants. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's going anywhere.
Well, that's not true either, because he did a lot of heading into WrestleMania last year. He wasn't supposed to be at every one of those cities until he was involved in WWE. I mean, they were in Alabama. They were in a lot of other areas where he wasn't already going to be. In a couple instances, you're right, but a lot of other instances, he went there for the wrestling part of it.
Right, and I would attribute that a little bit more to him actively being in a storyline versus just kind of throwing out little teases about potential future storylines. But you're absolutely right. And again, you know, we want to think that Hollywood would wait on him, especially like they probably did when he was franchise Viagra back in the day when he was in the John Cena program. Like, you would wait for The Rock because he was going to bring in easy extra 100 mil to your movie. Nowadays, his last movie didn't even make 100 mil. So his last live action movie didn't. So it becomes this whole muddied down water situation versus just it being clear cut. And like you said, since WrestleMania, he's planted a bunch of numerous seeds that just make me think, well, whoever's the biggest draw when I get back, I'll decide to do a program with. And once I'm in the program, then I'll be there week to week for it. So
now keep in mind, with Rock having movies that flop at the box office, it is a different time these days. Some of those movies that flop at the box office, they make a lot on the back end because streaming, they make a killing after the fact forever for streaming. Movies turn into streaming rights, you know that? And so...
Right. But if you put it on your own streamer, you're not paying yourself to do that. You'd have to license that out to a Netflix or to whoever.
But he does, like, that's right? The thing. A lot of his movies are on these other platforms. So and for any other actors that are in big budget movies that flop at the box office, a lot of those movies can recover later on because all it takes is one streaming platform to make a bad movie go viral. And next thing you know, streaming companies are like, we need to keep it longer. We need to, and they'll throw money at that studio. It's weird. It's insane. You know, a bad movie back in the day was a bad movie. Now bad movies can become weird cult followings on streaming, and we are in a weird time. And
it is weird.
WWE.
Of that,
go ahead.
Yeah, is Madam Web. It completely tanked, but once it hit Netflix, it was the #1 movie in the world.
That's crazy.
At that time, it's like, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Seeing, it had some appeal, but it was trash. But yeah,
so it's nice but I'm saying for The Rock's case, it's nice to have bad movies that the studio might say, oh, yeah, we'll suck this one up. We'll be okay. Netflix will pay us $500 million for it. It's nuts. And that what I'm saying is there's relationships there that Rock being present with a company that has such a big deal with WWE, more glue that's keeping Rock, to me, is a high possibility to be part of WWE heading into this Netflix season. Just saying, I would be shocked if these dirt sheets are right on this one. But anything else you want to add, Gino?
Yeah, The Rock's got to be there. He just has to. Honestly, that's all of this talk about maybe not. He has to be involved. Like,
yeah.
I hope we're being worked. I hope it's planted information just to get people second guessing. And I would like to not know what's going on for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, and again, dirt sheets report 20-30% truth, so that means there's 60-70%.
But like we said, it's
wrong again.
Plans change. Like if he shows
up.
Oh,
dude, I love it, dude. I've never they
change.
literally. I don't know how proactive they've been with always saying plans change. Usually, it's after the plans change we see. Now I'm reading it as I'm reading the news, like the reporting thing. But plans could change.
Yeah.
That to me, like they're already ready for it. All right, Big G, you've been sitting there quietly.
Yeah, everybody made good points. Gino brought up the movies. I was gonna mention, he just finished doing the live action Moana. He's doing the other movie. Anyways, Virtue, I'm sure you remember how leading up to last year's WrestleMania, even before, I said The Rock's never going to show up. The Rock's never going to show up. And I'm still eating crow after that, So I think The Rock's going to be there at WrestleMania 41. I don't know. And he's going to wrestle a match, obviously, hopefully. But we don't know if it's going to be Rock or Roman or, even the possibility of a triple threat, which I know you wouldn't like because that would just ruin the whole thing. But I think honestly, I hope he shows up on the Raw Netflix because that would bring in more people on Netflix and more subscribers to Netflix. And I don't know.
Unadvertised, though. Does it kind of concern you? Like, if he was going to be there, you would think they would already say that? Or do they want the pop? They want people, anything could happen on Raw and Netflix. The Rock could show up.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be they're going to be in Los Angeles.
After the fact.
They're going to be in LA, and I'm sure The Rock has a home in LA because it is a Rock.
Of course.
So, and if he doesn't show up on the Raw Netflix, I think it wouldn't hurt the story. I don't think it would hurt the storyline with Cody as much, but hopefully he shows up at the Royal Rumble. But then you said there's the possibility that he might not show up, and then, because he still got the Elimination Chamber,
Yeah.
And I mean, is everybody going to cry over it if The Rock doesn't show up? I mean, we've been all wanting Rock versus Roman for the past 3 or 4 years now. And, with last year, with the whole plans changing supposedly, and then and if it doesn't happen this year, are they going to push it to next year? WrestleMania, and Aaron said, The Rock's getting older too. He's in his late 50s already. He's got.
He's not that old.
His early 50s.
He's about as old as Jericho.
But you gotta. Then he has all his brands and stuff like that. His tequila, and in the springtime, he's got the UFL that he's got to be dealing with or actually his ex-wife is taking care of that, I think. But anyway, he still does stuff with that. So I mean, I'd be happy if he show up. Would I be sad? Not really, because you want to focus on you want to focus. We've always said this. You want to focus on making new stars and pushing your main eventers. And like you said too, Virch, they've been planting seeds with Cody. The whole what did Cody give or what did he give Cody? Them switching the titles. It's like when you watch a movie,
the slit to the throat, that's just insane. For The Rock to give that many teasers out. And then, nope, can't do it. Nope.
It's like when you watch a movie and you see all these Easter eggs in there. They're giving us hints and stuff like that, and then him showing randomly at Bad Blood when nobody, expected him to be there, and he did the 1, 2, 3 thing.
He tweeted, "Don't believe all the crap you see."
Why
did he even acknowledge that?
Right.
Exactly.
That's just
and
insane.
like you said, they could be working us because Rock's very old school and he wants to surprise the fans. I can't remember. Did they advertise him for that day one Raw when he showed up and did the whole head of the table segment, or did he?
That was a surprise. That was a
surprise.
Up.
Okay.
And again, that started it all. Every time he came back, I'd always say, "We got to get it, Big G. We got to get it." And it was always, and then when he said that, I felt like they already knew at some point they were going to do it.
And as soon as he said the whole segment with the head of the table thing, I was like, then I knew in my heart that it's okay, he's got to be at WrestleMania 40 in some capacity. So. And I'm glad that he was there because I actually that was my first time seeing The Rock in person. So that was a very memorable moment for me. But
I'm going to die on this hill, and we are going to get at some point Rock and Roman. But it's weird because I was upset that I didn't get it this year. But I really want Rock and Cody now, barring that Rock's going to end Cody's reign, and that would just be really fitting for letting him have his moment, and then you take it away. So that's the hill I'm going to die on, but that's okay because most hills that I say I'm going to die on, I've lived on. So, and I'm still here. So, Aaron, go ahead. Over to you.
with your 8 super chats.
Yes, we do have some super chats to get through, and I'll just say this about The Rock. I would think he's going to be there just because he likes to break records. That's what he's all about.
Yeah.
And you do Rock versus Cody or Rock versus Roman Reigns, you're going to break records. Those 2 matches are the biggest matches that could possibly be done in wrestling right now. And why put that off? You want to strike when it's hot, when there's the momentum, when fans are clamoring for it. He's getting older. You don't want to wait on it. Yes, he does have a very busy schedule, but he is The Rock. Like we've been saying, he can do what he wants. And it's just crazy to me that he would not be part of WrestleMania when you have what will likely be the biggest main event of all time as far as pure numbers go. I just can't imagine him not capitalizing on that and either helping out Roman Reigns or helping out Cody too. Giving back to the business, putting them in that big money spot. There was a super chat here, which I wanted to get to from Psycho Jet Black. He sent in $2. He says, deep down, Rock will do all he can to get Roman Reigns over. And Roman Reigns is already over, but I think The Rock would love to do that match, knowing that is box office. And with The Rock, having that run this year, Roman Reigns turning babyface, like that is money. That is just the biggest match. Why wait? Why put it off until they're too old to be able to deliver in the ring? Why not do it while the people are clamoring for it and when it's the right time? This is the right time for it.
Well, remember they were clamoring for it before the Royal Rumble, and then as soon as Cody won the Royal Rumble, that's when it all switched.
But now
it all switched.
You got the final boss Rock with Roman as the babyface.
Exactly.
It's even bigger now.
Exactly.
And you got 2 matches now. You got Rock Cody, Rock Reigns.
Exactly.
And even Roman Cody 3 at some point. You build 3 potential matches of all of this. And Rock only has to survive for 2 more. And then he can ride off into the sunset. Like, pretty simple.
Yeah. So I think there's a decent shot The Rock will be at WrestleMania, but of course there's the different reports, and the reports have been saying that he hasn't committed to WrestleMania. Maybe that's true. Maybe he's like, I can't say 100% that I'm going to be there, but I can't imagine he's not there. And they probably have a game plan. Hey, we're going to go this route. If The Rock shows up, we're going to go this route. They're going to be good to go this year. No pivoting or surprises or anything like that.
It could be when the not committed thing, it could be not that he's not going to be at WrestleMania. It could be what is he going to do versus Cody one-on-one versus Roman one-on-one, triple threat. What does The Rock want to do? Maybe that's the uncertainty. So the dirt sheets were never lied to when they were told that it's really The Rock not knowing exactly what he's going to do. You got to look at that part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'd love for The Rock to beat Cody at the Royal Rumble and then face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. To me, that would be perfect. Yeah. That would be ideal.
I've even backtracked on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting my hopes up.
Because the story with Cody.
I think it's the Royal Rumble will depend on Netflix. If Rock's not there for the Netflix premiere, then I think at best we're getting just the WrestleMania appearance. But we'll see what happens. We do have some super chats here. Tiger sent in a €2 or £2 super chat. Says Rock Euro. Thank you for that. Says Rock returned due to the heat he was getting, and he brought up Oprah. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not. I mean, some people think that maybe because of the Vince McMahon situation, that's why Rock decided to return, or CM Punk getting injured, that's why Rock returned, and he felt the pressure. Just being elected to the TKO board of directors. Who knows? But it was a great run. And if I'm The Rock, I would want to keep going with that. People loved it. He was getting rave reviews for the final boss Rock. People were so happy that he brought that character back and did this new version of his heel persona. Why not double down on that and come back and do some great business? I just can't imagine him doing it. Now, could he get hurt? Yes. Could his schedule get really big? Yes, but at the same time, he's The Rock. He can work around it. Movie studio's not crazy about him wrestling. Yes, but he can work around it. He's The Rock. He's one of the biggest celebrities in the world. He's got a lot of pull. And if I'm him, though, if I'm in his brain, I'd want to be doing WrestleMania.
And hey, a lot of actors, and Tom Cruise specifically, they do their own stunts.
Yeah.
Why isn't Hollywood stopping them from doing it?
And the more he
you
does,
know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
more riskier than wrestling, probably.
And the more he does the wrestling, isn't that more publicity for your movie? So
Especially
like,
because
other
WWE
audience.
is so global. Netflix is global. It's not just the United States. You know, it's global. Like great advertising for his brand.
Exactly.
All right, so now the Shanti sent in a $2 super chat, says, hey, Psycho Jet Black or Pico Jet Black, Ricochet or Darby Allin? And then Psycho, Pico, whatever you want to call him, Jet Black, responded with a $2 super chat. Thank you, guys. Says, mute Ricochet is better than Ryback, who is better than EC3, who is better than Brad Maddox, who is better than Darby Scrub.
No, he's just trolling.
I mean, come on. What did Darby?
Show up?
What did Darby ever do to you? But he sent in another $2 super chat, so thank you. Says the Rock's piss bottles are more over than Darby Allin. Gino?
Yeah, well, I don't want to address necessarily the piss bottles because I brought that
okay.
up a second ago, but yeah, the mentioning of The Rock reminded me, and Virtue and Big G, you guys were talking about the unadvertised appearance potentially of The Rock at the Netflix Raw. Like, I'm sure you guys remember because you guys constantly impress me with how well you're able to remember stuff from so far back in time. Like, you guys are great. So bear with me here. So it's
Big G's a
February
trivia challenge champion, right?
He is. He is the current Wrestling Trivia Challenge live champion.
I would love to see, whatever type of content will go on there. So I'll definitely have to try and find that. But okay, so it's February 14th, 2011, Valentine's Day, right? If you're a guy and you had a girl then, you were making your plans to have some big stuff happen with your girl later that night. And the only thing that mattered that evening was The Rock came back to wrestling, ruined all of the plans we had for Valentine's Day, and it blew up the world. I could see him doing the same thing with the Netflix thing. Unadvertised, just showing up, the music hits, everybody's texting their friends like it's, you wouldn't text in the early 2000s. You gotta watch. You gotta get on The Rock's back.
Go on Netflix. Go on Netflix.
Yeah, because if he's advertised, everybody knows he's going to be on, but that excitement is kind of gone. But yet, if he's not advertised, and then all of a sudden he comes out and stares down Cody Rhodes, boom, everybody's on social media. That now you're getting instantaneous, like Aaron with the CM Punk pipe bomb. I know NoDQ.com, this instantaneous electricity.
Because now with this trade window coming,
yeah, and he's been shown on the video package for the Raw and Netflix stuff, just like Roman has. So they're kind of teeing it up, but it's not like The Rock will appear. So it's but dude, that will go down in history as one of the biggest things ever. Just he ruined Valentine's Day for a bunch of
could you
people.
imagine? Who knows what they're going to do on that show and when? But could you imagine if it's towards the end of the show, like the last segment, and you have that buzz, and you're just waiting for something to hit? How do they not deliver on anything at this point? They got to know we better have something up our sleeves, or the fans are going to piss on this. And you got Cena. You do have other things, but man, imagine
it's coming up in 3 weeks.
All those people are on that first Raw on Netflix.
It could be they're gonna have the big names. Cody, they should have Cody. They should have Roman.
They want that trend. You got to remember, shows on Netflix like that, they want things to keep trending on it, almost like a YouTube video getting millions of views. So the buzz has got to be there. I can't wait.
If they want to be number one on the TV shows on Netflix,
I would bring Taker back. I'll do a bunch of stuff.
And then boom.
Yeah, it's going to be
CM Punk. Lower third. Oh, show's over. Nope. If you smell, and then it's on.
They just keep going. Yeah,
Netflix doesn't have to cut them at the 2-hour mark, right?
No.
Right. We got some more super chats here, so we'll get to those. Psycho Jet Black said, Darby Scrub can't even draw $7 from the fans. Who brought up Darby Allin in the first place?
I don't know. I think Psycho brought it up in one of the earlier super chats because of the whole AEW thing.
Oh, okay.
And now he's just trolling us.
All right. Well, Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Thanks, Tito. Hope you're doing well. Tito says, bigger fraud, Tony Khan or Hawk Tuh? I'm going to pretend I don't know who Hawk Tuh is.
That's that Hawk Tua girl who scammed a bunch of people out of cryptocurrency or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
She's a big Hulk Hogan fan, apparently. Say what you will about that.
Yeah, fraud. Like, I don't know. She didn't ask for her fame. She was just a drunk girl that got interviewed on the street, and the internet made her famous. And Tony Khan, I don't know, just a big wrestling mark who pays for his acting. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest with you.
He frauded people out of a bunch of crypto
He's
stuff,
not
I guess,
committing.
and that's
Allegedly.
He's not committing fraud. He's just running a company to shit.
Yeah. I mean, Tony's a good guy. I mean, I can't say anything about the Hawk Tuh girl, but apparently Psycho Jet Black can, because Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, sad boy Darby wishes he was over as Hawk Tuh. They should do something, some kind of collaboration together.
Iron Sheik was the original Hawk Tuah.
He was. She was just copying his gimmick. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, broken toilets make more noise than a Darby pop.
Oh my God.
That was a good one.
Oh my God.
All right. We got one more here from PJB. Says, seriously, was there any chance of Rock winning the WWE title from Roman at WrestleMania 40 and then dropping at the next night?
Who knows what they had planned, to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
I think Roman would have went over had they done that match.
I agree, but you never know. I mean, Rock
and then Roman would have kept the title longer, and maybe lost to Cody at SummerSlam. Who knows? But
it worked out, and hopefully WrestleMania 41 works out. They figure it out. We get a great WrestleMania.
Yep. I think Rock would have probably acknowledged him or something, and then that would have started his face turn then.
Exactly. But anyways, we're caught up, Virtue. So let's go ahead and
go around. Last words, Walter.
You can follow me at Walter Alex Cruz on X and Walter.9. There it is. Walter.cruz.940 and at Reds Wrestling YouTube channel. Got to look over my shoulder because wife tends to watch all my videos, and when that pops up, she pops me in the back of the head. But thanks for having me. It's entertainment for our stuff Saturday. But thanks for having me up here. It was good discussion here.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on. Okay, Big G.
Yes. NoDQ _ Big Baller G on X. If you're a cat person, you love cats like me, Gino, and Aaron, and I think Virtue has a cat, you can follow me. You can follow them on YouTube at Harley and Joker 2021. I got a whole bunch of cat videos out there. TikTok, you can still follow me on Big Baller G 1988 until I want to say January 19th, because I think they're officially banning TikTok unless the US company buys it. And then on Instagram, NoDQ _ Big Baller G 1988. Thank you for having me, and great discussions.
Gino.
Yeah, as always, I'm honored to be here. If you guys want to check me out, I do some movie reviews, TV reviews. If you want to see what I thought about Y2K, you can catch me at Papagino0017 on everything, no matter what it is, but mostly YouTube. And yeah, thanks for again having me. Honored to be here.
All right, thank you. All right, Aaron.
Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. We'll be doing coverage of Saturday night's main event this coming Saturday night.
Yeah, to this Saturday, yep.
Yep, it's this Saturday. Big special. They're going to be doing 4 of them a year. And looking forward to Jesse the Body Ventura being part of this. Should be a fun show. So check that out. I'll be on afterwards with the live recap. And we got AEW Winter is coming this week. And we got SmackDown. So a lot coming up this week.
What city is that live Saturday night main event? Is that live?
Yeah, Long Island, New York. Long Island.
You know, is The Rock supposed to be there? Has he got something going on? No.
You never know, right? Anything can happen. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Trouble in Little China in there, then maybe.
Right. Next week, we got a visitor from the North Pole, hopefully, that will be joining us for a fun, festive NoDQ review. So make sure you guys tune in Next Tuesday night, we'll probably talk about the fallout from Saturday night's main event. So stay tuned. Virtue?
Yeah, we'll have to ask him who's been naughty and nice. Definitely interested in that.
Tony Khan or Darby Allin? Who's been naughtier?
All right. Well, follow me on X.com if you dare. The most toxic place for wrestling fans at NoDQ_virtue. But that is it. And NoDQ.com/merch. You know the routine. We'll be back doing this again next week for Aaron, for Gino, Big G, Walter Cruz, and the whole NoDQ crew and galaxy. Good night, everybody.
Adios.